All right, so it's just a minute after, so let's go ahead and get started. So again, good afternoon. Welcome to our February Georgia at Work Procurement Huddle. We launch these to share information so that you can be prepared and ready and excited for our brand new Georgia at Work system, which goes live July 1. And so very excited because this month's topic is training. Um, so we're going to go ahead and take a moment to introduce several of the individuals that are joining us to make sure you know everything you need to know to have a great learning experience for procurement. And so my name is Mary Chapman. I am the Deputy Division Director here in State Purchasing. I also get to help support training delivery, and she'll be joining us probably in just a little bit, but Carrie Steele serves as our Deputy Commissioner. She leads our State Purchasing Division team and has been a huge support to us as we've um, put together this training for our brand new system and get ready to roll it out. So with that, I'm going to allow each of our other presenters to introduce themselves, starting with Holly.
Thank you so much, Mary. At DOAS, I fall under the operations division there, and I am the learning functional lead for the Next Gen project and the implementation of the Georgia at Work system, which means I focus on all things learning management system. So I work hand in hand with Mary and her amazing training team, as well as the overall Georgia at Work training team. And we're just here, my primary focus is to make sure you feel comfortable getting in and consuming your training. Thank you, Mary.
Awesome. Thank you, Holly. And she has several of her dream team here joining us as well. So delighted to have the support of our DOAS Enterprise training team. For our State Purchasing Division team, our training manager, our senior training manager, is Cherie Reddick. And Cherie, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself next.
Yes. So good afternoon. I am the senior training manager for our state purchasing division. And in that role, of course, I am responsible for overseeing all of our procurement training, our certification program training, and of course, this Georgia at Work system training. And so I'm so excited to be here this afternoon and talk about training. So
Yes.
looking forward to sharing some good information this afternoon. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you, Sherry. Can't wait. All right. And our final presenter, Diana Tiernan, she is the stakeholder engagement lead, a part of our implementation partner, Deloitte, and she is just a wonderful person supporting us with a lot of our change management and communication. So she's going to be joining us a little bit later on and sharing what you need to know about some great new resources in our Georgia at Work resource library. So very excited for that. So with those welcomes underway, let's take a quick look at the agenda. And so you're probably wondering, hey, when is training going to start? So there's a reason why we're having this training topic for our February procurement huddle, and that's because it starts next month, y'all. So we're going to walk through some very important key dates that you need to know, both when you're going to get access and also when you want to make sure you get it completed. That's super important. We're going to make sure you know where to go, right? Where do I need to go and take my training? And so we're going to hear about our Team Georgia learning system, which for the procurement community, many of you are already familiar with. So bonus, we've got that. We're going to walk you through role-based procurement training. So depending on what you do, how you function in the new system, we've got very specific training for you based on that role. And then you might be wondering, what does training look like moving forward? Maybe you have one of our state purchasing division certifications. Maybe you're interested in getting certified. So we've got some great information for you there. And finally, we will wrap up with some reminders. So with that, I think we are ready to go ahead and get started. And so I will turn it over to Holly.
Thank you so much, Mary. So we're going to start off, I think, with exactly what Mary said, that everyone's anxious to hear. What are the dates for training rollout? When is it coming? What am I going to see? You can go on to the next slide. So right here, we have a lot of good information. This is a heavy slide, but it is so incredibly valuable. So what we're going to look at here is an outline of key Georgia at Work training milestones and expectations. And the focus here is on helping learners, helping you understand when enrollment opens, what's required, and why the deadlines matter. So we're going to start on the right-hand side of this slide, and you'll see the enrollment timelines for our learning programs. Now, those of you that are familiar with Team Georgia Learning, you normally see like a path has been assigned to you, and that's a group of courses, right? So you're going to have programs and end user training, which is a group of courses. So on March 2nd, that is our start date. Enrollment begins for the Employee Foundational Learning Program. That program has 3 e-learning courses in it. Then on March 9th, the very next week, enrollment opens for the Manager Foundational Learning Program. You will be enrolled in these courses. No action is required of you to be enrolled. It is automatic. On March 16th, enrollment opens to your role in for these enrollments to your email, and it will come from, and I have this on another slide as well, but we can put it in the chat, notify@doas.exceedlms.com. So it's really important that we're encouraging all learners to enroll and begin training as soon as it opens rather than waiting. If any of you are in the training industry, you'll hear that just-in-time training and think, well, this is March, it's okay if I wait. But we have it staggered for a reason, both for your benefit as well as ours on the project team side. Many of your role-based learning programs, especially finance, include instructor-led trainings and assessments. Now, these ILTs are mostly virtual. Mary, I don't want to misspeak, but I think all the procurement ones are virtual. Yes, I see you nodding your head. I think the only in-person are a couple of finance courses. So those, when you get enrolled in your program, the ILT schedule comes up in that program. So you'll know you need to take which ILT, and then you can select the date and time that works for you. And all those procurement ones are, again, virtual. So these sessions run from April 6th through June 4th. And the schedules are available on the training resource library, which I believe the team's going to review in just a few minutes. Learners must complete any required assessments within 3 days of finishing an ILT or e-learning course. So if there's an assessment attached to it, the LMS will populate a due date. That's 3 days within finishing that ILT course. It's really important that assessments are completed, because successful completion of that assessment means you have completion of that course. So very, very important you get that done. Now you will see when enrollment begins on those first 2 dates that we mentioned, March 2nd and March 9th, the Team Georgia Learning notifications will display a due date of May 28th for the Employee and Manager Foundational Learning programs. Meeting this date is going to help ensure smoother data conversion And it also means that learners are prepared for the following role-based learning programs as applicable. So please help us communicate that learners need to finish by that May 28th deadline. This date is especially important for readiness and transition planning. Now, you might have a question or thought. Well, May 28th, if I took basic navigation and by May 28th, I'm not going to remember it by July 1st. You can relaunch your trainings, but we need that completion by May 28th. So you can always go back and retake an e-learning course. The final completion requirement for all of your training is June 11th. So all learning programs must be completed by June 11th for training data to appear on your learner transcript in Georgia at Work. Completion by this date ensures proper training record documentation. So we will have a freeze time where you will no longer be able to access Team Georgia Learning. June 11th is your last day to access Team Georgia Learning, and then we'll be moving all the completions. Incomplete training will not be migrated into Georgia at Work. So if you did not complete something after enroll in that course and retake any of that incomplete training that you did not finish. The Training Support Center is available on the Georgia at Work Resource Library, which houses those learning programs, the course descriptions, and that Ready, Set, Go Live journey. It's a great tool. You'll see that emphasized in any Georgia at Work meeting you attend. And I believe, again, the team's going to go over some of that later in this meeting. So again, the key message here is that you should prioritize completing your assigned training as soon as possible. And early completion reduces risk, improves readiness, and supports a much smoother transition to Georgia at Work. So again, that was a heavy slide, but it's a good slide. That's really good information. All right, next slide. Okay, so this we are extra excited about, the Georgia at Work training reports. So this was something that we received interest in from the NCN group, from people within just the project, from people within the learning community, saying, how am I going to know how my agency's doing? I'm an HRD, I need to know. I'm this, I need to know. So what we have developed in response to the need is this Georgia at Work in-user training progress report. So this is a centralized, personalized training reporting for all agencies that are participating in Georgia at Work training. This report runs each Monday. So if you run this report, and I'll tell you who and how the report is ran, if you run it Monday and Tuesday, you're going to have the same thing. It gets updated every Monday morning. Okay, so you only need to check it once a week, but that report will be available to agency point of contacts or POCs. That is the only role that has access to run this report. They will be responsible for distributing the report to the necessary parties within their agency, such as an HRD. But remember, this is training completion for everyone in the agency. So you want to be mindful of who you share that report with. The Georgia at Work in-user training progress request form is going to be available next week on the NCN workspace to our agency POCs. So this is a really good tool. I do want to encourage any of our POCs, if you run into issues, if someone's missing on the report, don't panic and just immediately submit a ticket. We can work through it. It's not it shouldn't be your sole source. You also have managers can look at their direct reports, training completions in Team Georgia Learning as well. And I'm going to reference our Team Georgia Learning webinar we held in October and November of 25, where I walked through the steps of how to check your direct reports in there. And that is a very, very helpful tool as well. Now, if there's new hires between now and then, they might not show up on your direct reports. That will be updated monthly. So this is a very, very helpful tool, and we're very excited about it. All right, next slide. All right, so we're going to jump gears just a little bit and talk about getting into Team Georgia Learning and how to get the help you need. So with pre-go live training, we are consuming that training in Team Georgia Learning, which is the current LMS system owned by DOAS. Like Mary mentioned, many of you have consumed training in here if you've done training with SPD. So Team Georgia Learning is our current learning management system, and it's where you're going to access and complete all of your pre-go live Georgia at Work end user training. We've included a little screenshot here. Hopefully it looks familiar to many of you. One thing you may notice, depending on who you are and who you work for and who you take training for, you may see different colors in there. Don't let the different colors alarm you. That's just how we organize things in the LMS. You see the same thing. It's just related to our branding. So if you say, well, Sally has red on hers and I have green, what is this? I'm freaked out. Don't panic. It doesn't mean anything. You do not have to worry about the colors. Next slide. Okay, so when you log in to Team Georgia Learning, the first time, if you've never logged in before, your username and your password will both be your employee ID number, and then you will be prompted to set your own password. If you forget your password, the reset email is going to go to the email address that's marked as primary in Teamworks or in PeopleSoft. So we pull that information, we have an integration with PeopleSoft to get that email address. So if you're not getting an email, you need to check your email in Team Georgia Learning. You can see in Team Georgia Learning what your email is, but if you're showing a personal email address in there and you were checking your work and you want to update that, if you update it in the LMS, the integration runs nightly and it won't change. You have to have it updated in Teamworks. And that's a big thing that we're trying to communicate out. We shared about it in the Team Georgia Learning webinar in detail, but we're also going to try and get something, in writing that you can refer to, like a checklist to say, hey, let me double check where my notifications from the LMS are going. If you have issues logging into Team Georgia Learning, again, please don't just submit a ticket because we are expecting an influx of tickets during this time, and we want to help our contact center, one, and we want to be able to help you as quickly as we can. That's the most important thing. So the first thing you need to do is check what your email is in Team Georgia Learning and in Teamworks. And if you have it going to the wrong thing, you can update it in Teamworks because Team Georgia Learning is going to pull that primary email from Teamworks. If you do need to submit a ticket, you'll see, if you'll go back a slide, in that red box on the login screen, there's a link to the help form. All right, now you can go to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so real quick, we're going to look at how to access your employee foundational learning program once you are in Team Georgia Learning. So as you know, the first step is to log in. You'll receive an email notification that says, dear so-and-so, you have been enrolled in with the course name and all this beautiful information and a link directly to the LMS. So that email is your cue that your learning plan has been assigned and is ready for you. Remember, this is a rollout with different dates. So on March 2nd, you'll only see that one learning program. It's a staggered rollout, so more training will appear on your plan inside of Team Georgia Learning in the order of those dates I shared previously on that big, heavy, important, wonderful slide. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the plan section. So you can see that in that bottom picture with all the red. Remember, I told you some people will see red. You'll see plan. So you'll click on the Plan tab, and that's where you'll find the courses that have been assigned to you as a part of the foundational program. And then you want to watch for the notifications. So the very first time you log in, you might see a pop-up notification letting you know that new items have been added to your learning plan. If you see that, just click OK, and that simply confirms that the courses are loaded and ready to consume. And then you can also see here completing those courses. From there, you'll see the full employee foundational learning program. That one, as mentioned before, includes 3 courses, and you just need to work through each one of those and complete the full program. If you need to walk away in the middle of a training, please don't just leave your screen up. You might lose progress. If you have to exit the training, let's say you're taking it and think, oh, I've got to go pick my kids up from after school. It's the end of the workday, and you leave your desk, right? You need to close out the training, and that will record your progress. Don't leave it idle, because a lot of times when people do that, we will see that when it does close, it doesn't keep their progress and they have to start all over. And you have enough training to take. You don't want to have to start all over. Extra note, how to revisit courses. So a helpful tip, if you want to go back and review courses you've already taken, you just log back into the learning management system, click on that history section, and you'll see a list of all the courses that you've completed. You can reopen any of them whenever you need a refresher. All right, next slide. Okay, I'll pass it off, and I'm going to jump and look in the chat and see if I missed any questions for me. And I'll pass it off to the next speaker. Thank you all so much. I hope you found that helpful.
Thanks, Holly. So yeah, that was some great information that Holly just shared about those key dates that are coming up, how to access Team Georgia Learning, what to do when you have a few problems there. And so we're going to continue and talk more about role-based procurement training. So let's move forward. There we are. So we've heard this a lot. You know, if you've been around the last several weeks and months, you've been hearing foundational and role-based learning programs. And so Holly referenced the procurement, well, not just procurement, but the foundational learning programs, specifically for state of Georgia employees. There are trainings that you will take. You'll automatically be enrolled in those learning programs. In addition to that, depending on your role, you will be enrolled in learning programs. So that includes finance roles, HCM, and payroll, as well as, of course, procurement, right? So we're, of course, here to talk about procurement. So we'll go to the next slide and talk about specifically what that looks like for procurement role-based learning programs. So first, this beautiful document, this is only part of it that you see on this slide, is available in the Georgia at Work resource library. So you can find this and the other role-based learning programs like HCM and finance, right? You can find all of that at the Georgia at Work resource library. When you access this from the resource library, there's a few things that you might want to know to help you understand it a little better. So one of the things that you see right away, there are 3 columns on this document. The first one is the role. So that is going to indicate which role. And then when you get to the second or that middle column, it will show you or list the courses for that learning program for that role. And then the last column is going to give you the estimated hours or minutes um, for that particular learning program. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to that and looking at any roles that might be associated with you or your team, right? The other thing you want to note here is you'll see that some of the courses are italicized. And so those are for the e-learning courses. And you will also see some of the courses are underlined. That is going to be for the instructor-led courses. And then the other note is, for example, on this slide where you see employee, there's an asterisk right behind that role. So that lets us know that that does not apply to our University of System of Georgia friends. I think I saw a question in the chat about that. So when you see that on the learning program, then you know that is not applicable to the University System of Georgia. So all of those things are going to help you kind of understand this document a little better. And this first portion, again, is the foundational learning. So this is going to be for state of Georgia employees. If you're an employee, all employees will get that basic navigation and what you see there in the first one. And then if you're a manager, there are several other courses that you will need to take. So then if we move to the next slide, it is this same document continued, and we get into that specific training based on your system roles. And so you can see it starts right out with the APO CUPO. And again, you see the asterisk there. And this looks like, oh, there's not that much to take, but you have to remember you may have additional roles that are associated, that you're associated with or that you have. And so you want to consider that again as you're reviewing this document. If we move to the next slide. All right, we see additional roles, including P card. You might note that all of these are e-learning, right? So that is awesome. Don't have to worry about travel, lodging, any of that. You can take it at your own pace, but make sure you meet that May 28th date that Holly told us, right? So you want to get that completed by then. And let's move to our next slide. Right, so this is page 2 of that document, and you might have noticed that these roles are in alphabetical order, right? So a lot of information here, especially depending on how many roles that you might have. Let's move to the next one. All right, so here, one of the things that you want to pay attention to, for example, source and event buyer, that Georgia at Work technical evaluation team scoring for RFPs and RFQCs, that is not going to be available until after go live. So that's just a note. If that is in your learning program, you will not see that right now, but it will be available after July. All right, Mary. Yes, ma'am.
Cherie, I love this, you guys, and I hope for each one of the roles, y'all are looking at this and saying, yes, I'm a requester. Yes, I'm an approver. So I'm hoping this is resonating with you in your current work. One thing we do want to point out, team, is it's very important that your organization has completed security role mapping, because that is what we're using when we do our training enrollments. We're matching whatever your system role is with the applicable learning program so that you're automatically going to get enrolled in what you need. And Mahershala, if you don't mind backing up to the slide 14 where the contract administrator role is, we do have our ITBA for the contract stream with us for this webinar, and he did want to point out a minor issue that's come up, but just in case it impacts anybody on the line, he wanted to take this moment and just share that about the roles. So Kyle, we might have to unmute you. Let me quickly get to you. If you will unmute and then share some valuable information with us, and I'm going to say allow the mic. See if that works for you.
It does. Thank you, Mary. Real quick, thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and say something real quick. So, as Mary said, I was in charge of converting your existing contracts that you have in TeamWorks now, right, into our Georgia at Work and Georgia at Work marketplace. And just one issue that I consistently saw was that some of your contract administrators or and they may have a different title within your organization, but they did not get some required roles in the security matrix. So just wanted to make sure, if you're an APO or if you put in contracts, if someone on your team is going to be putting in contracts into Georgia at Work marketplace, that they get and I'm going to put them in the chat, but it's a couple roles. It's the supplier contract specialist role, and it's also the agency contract administrator role. So I use those roles during our conversion process to basically assign. So let's say that you've got a contract and it may be expired, but it still has open purchase orders against it. We have to convert that contract. Well, let's say the person that's on that contract is no longer an employee with the state of Georgia. So those were getting kicked out, right? So we have a process where we say, hey, this person is no longer an employee, even though they're on a contract. We're going to assign it to the APO. Because we have to have something in there. Well, we discovered that even some of our agency procurement officers did not have these particular roles on their profile. So anyways, again, if you can just make sure that everyone that enters in contracts gets both of those role assignments, your conversion will be a lot cleaner, right? And then I have gotten a couple questions that supplier contract specialist role, that is a view-only role to the contract in Georgia at Work. So you're able to give that to people that you maybe just want them to see contracts, right, within Georgia at Work. But that agency contract administrator role is going to be the one that's going to get them signed up for the instructor-led training on entering in contracts and becoming a contract administrator. And it's also going to then give them the proper access that's needed to actually, enter in contracts, do renewals, do amendments, all of that in Georgia at Work Marketplace. So I'm going to throw my email in the chat as well. And so if you have any questions on those particular roles around your security matrix, feel free just to email me out. And I can actually send you a copy of what your agency currently has. I can't send you the whole list right now with everybody because it has everyone's employee IDs in it, but I can break it out just for your agency and send you that. So hopefully that wasn't too long, but thank you for giving me the chance to come off and say something about it.
Thanks, Kyle. That was great. We want to get this right. That was very helpful. Thank you. Okay, so let's jump back to Cherie and Mahershala, if you don't mind fast forwarding for us. Nice.
Awesome. All right. So you can go ahead. Yep, there you go. And so this right here is just the end of that foundational and role-based learning program information for procurement. Again, you can find this on the Georgia at Work resource library. And like Hal said, make sure that you have the appropriate roles because you want to make sure that you're getting the appropriate training as well. So thank you, Kyle, for sharing that. All right. And let's move to the next slide, which is one of my favorite. And this is the procurement instructor-led training schedule. So you can also find this on the Georgia at Work resource library.
Cherie, I love all the applause. This is incredible.
Like, is there a glitch?
I was checking my keyboard to see, have I smashed a button?
Right.
I don't know if that's live or not, but we'll just keep going. This is great.
Yeah, somebody's just excited as we are about training. So I love that too. But you can access this schedule on the Georgia at Work resource library. And as you know, we are offering all of our instructor-led training virtually, right? And so we have two courses that we are offering, and that is the Georgia at Work for Strategic Sourcing 2 course. That is a 2-day course. And then we have Georgia at Work for Supplier Contracts, which is a 1-day course. So when you look at this schedule, you'll see the date for the course, you'll see the time for that session, and then you'll see the number of sessions. And so definitely pay attention to the number of sessions there. Most of the dates we have at least 2 sessions, which is very good for us and you, right? Because it allows us to maintain those smaller class sizes so we can support that engagement, interaction, and just give you a better learning experience. So we are definitely looking forward to starting the instructor-led training sessions in April. And you can see that the first session is scheduled for April 6th and 7th. So hopefully we will see you there. So let's look at the next slide. All right, so what does training look like moving forward? Let's see. So on the next slide, the first thing that we need to talk about is as we transition to Georgia at Work, we are sunsetting our Team Georgia Marketplace instructor-led courses. And some of you may already know that we have already facilitated the last sessions for supplier contracts management and for strategic sourcing. And those were both offered for the final time in January. Joyce Auld did do those sessions for us, and we definitely appreciate that. And we did record those, so they will be made available in the coming weeks. And then the e-procurement for PO buyers, that course will be offered for the final time on March 23rd. And so we would ask that you do not register for that course unless you need system access, right? So if you need that course or you need to complete that course for your access, then by all means do that. But if you don't, we would recommend that you wait and get the new system training and let that be applied to any CEUs that you might be seeking. And that final session will be recorded just like the supplier contracts and strategic sourcing modules were, and we will share that. We will make that available to you in the coming weeks. All right, so let's take a look at the next slide. All right, so we're sunsetting our TGM courses. What does that mean for system access? So if individuals require system access and they have the roles that you see here, PO buyer, sourcing event buyer, or contract administrator, then we are waiving those training requirements for those courses as they won't be available, right? And so you should, or APOs should coordinate their request through the agency security partner as they normally would, and add the comment that you see here in number 2, item number 2 there, advising that the role that you're requesting access for has that waived training requirement. So you should just copy exactly what's there and add it in that comment. And then, of course, if you have any questions or concerns, we are always here. Of course, Mary Chapman is always willing to assist, so you can definitely reach out to her if you have some specific questions and need assistance with that. So let's look at what does that mean for certifications. right? Maybe you have started your GCPA or GCPM or GCPCA. It's a lot of alphabets, but you haven't finished. And so some of you may have already reached out to us about this, right? So maybe you needed strategic sourcing to complete your certification. And so, as we mentioned, we want you to take advantage of the new Georgia at Work system training. And so after go live, we will be launching updated certification programs that include that Georgia at Work system training. And so once you log into Georgia at Work learning, right? Of course, your progress, if you completed the course by the deadline Holly gave you, preferably May 28th, but definitely no later than June 11th, right? If you completed the course and the assessment, then that progress will be saved. And when you log into Georgia at Work Learning, you can enroll in the updated certification program. You're going to get credit for those courses that you already completed, and then you will complete the new Georgia at Work system training that's relevant to your certification. And of course, complete the required assessment, and then you will be able to earn your certification, right? So you have, just sit tight with us for just a little bit so that we can make sure that you get the information that you need. And then you will be able to get your certification. All right, so let's move forward. All right, so Holly showed you how to access your learning paths and learning programs. And so this is what it looks like when if you log back in after you've been enrolled in those learning programs. You can just scroll down to your required training and you'll see that a couple of things with it. You see that red circle with the Georgia at Work computer. That's going to be an indication that this is the Georgia at Work training. If you look a little bit below that, you can see that the title of that learning program, it starts with SOGA. Again, another indication, state of Georgia. And then you can see it says Georgia at Work APO CUPO role program. So these are just some things that you can just pay attention to confirm that you are looking at your Georgia at Work courses and learning program. All right. Let's go ahead and move forward. All right. So of course, we have an assessment that is associated with your training. And so we will be taking attendance. We do want everyone to be present for their required training, right? And you do have a requirement of an 80% or higher for that assessment. Don't worry, you do have unlimited attempts. Now, remember, Holly mentioned earlier, you do need to complete that. You're going to have a due date of 3 days. So you want to try to get that done so you can meet the deadline. But you do have unlimited attempts to pass the assessment. And then Holly also shared some information around reporting as it relates to completing the training. So completing the courses and the assessments. All right, so make sure you check out the required training that you will need to take. You're present and accounted for when those courses are offered, or you take them at your own pace if they're e-learning, and complete them by May 28th. And you will be in good shape when we go live. Right? And so I think that is the end of my responsibility here. I will hand it back to Mary. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cherie. That was great information. I'm already feeling more prepared and ready to jump into Team Georgia Learning right now, y'all, and start that training. But it's not March yet. But when March gets here, we are going to be ready. So I'm excited. And so what I'm going to share with you is a little bit more information about some of our brand new courses. And so For our new Georgia at Work system, we have multiple e-learning courses that you can take. So these are self-paced, on demand. You just click on them when you're ready, and complete them, which is great. You don't have to worry about signing up or a schedule or anything. So we've got that Georgia at Work Procure to Pay overview, which is kind of your foundation for Georgia at Work. So you want to start with that. That gets you familiar with the main homepage, how to navigate, etc. You'll see we have the Georgia at Work for Requesters course. So if you support your organization by creating requisitions, by doing online shopping, going to check out all of our wonderful statewide contracts in the marketplace, then we have the Requesters e-learning course for you. Maybe you're an approver for your organization. Maybe you have an opportunity to review and approve requisitions, purchase orders, or P-card transactions. Then we also have a new e-learning called Georgia at Work for Requisition, P-card, and PO approvers. So it's going to help you understand how you'll be able to complete those different tasks and either approve or send back as needed. Maybe you are actually the purchase order PO buyer within your organization. And so you need to be able to get to the PO buyer hub. Maybe you need to check on the status of POs, create a new PO. So we have an e-learning for you. Maybe you are the P card holder for your organization. We have a brand new e-learning for our purchasing card holders. And then finally, maybe you are the P card program system administrator, and you need to understand some of the differences in how you'll perform your task and run reports and access different information in Georgia at Work. And so we have an e-learning course available for you as well. Now, all of the e-learnings you're seeing on this screen, this is for all of our state organizations that are going to be fully within Georgia at Work. So none of what you're seeing on the screen right now would apply to the University System of Georgia, okay? But for all of our state agencies, for the Technical College System of Georgia, these courses would apply to you. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump to some of the existing training we have today that we have refreshed and rebranded for our Georgia at Work marketplace. Because it's staying and we're actually expanding the number of organizations that are using it. So today, y'all, over on the left-hand side, you'll see where it says current for USG only. USG references the University System of Georgia and all of our state colleges and universities. They already use the current sourcing module. And so they take the Introduction to Jagger Sourcing Director for USG e-learning. They come to the 2-day Jagger Sourcing Director for USG instructor-led training class. And then they also have access to an e-learning, which explains how Jagger Sourcing Director is used for evaluation teams. So if you're conducting a request for proposal and you have a technical evaluation team and they're going to be going into the system and scoring supplier proposals, this is an e-learning that's available to them. So moving forward, come July 1, as part of our Georgia at Work implementation, all of our state agencies and technical colleges will be using the same sourcing module. So we have completely redone the training. It is even better than what we had today. And so for those state agencies coming on board July 1, you will be participating in the refreshed and rebranded training, which is the Introduction to Georgia at Work Strategic Sourcing 1 e-learning, the Georgia at Work for Strategic Sourcing 2 2-day class, and Cherie already showcased the schedule that we have available for those classes. And then finally, there will be a revamped e-learning for technical evaluation team members, and that will be available after go live. And part of that team is there won't be any technical evaluation team members identified until after we go live. Okay, so this is refreshed and rebranded training that we're also rolling out that we're excited about. Now, perfect segue. Let's talk about what we're doing for the University System of Georgia, because for sourcing, how they conduct their sourcing events today, they've already completed, unless they have a new hire, the training you're seeing on this existing slide. So what we're going to do, and if we can go ahead and jump to the next slide, we're going to do a webinar specific to the University System of Georgia, and it's going to be on May 13th. So since you've already completed the training for sourcing, it's not necessary for our state colleges and universities to come back through the training. It will be open to all their new hires, but if you've been using sourcing for several years and you know how to use it, we really just want to highlight for you some of the things that are going to be different when we go live. So we have made some updates to our templates. We've made updates to the design. It has a brand new branding, brand new color scheme, and there have been some minor tweaks. So we really want to target for you just what's different as opposed to having to come back through all of the training you've already completed. So we're really excited for that webinar. It will be recorded if for any reason you're not able to join live. And so that will be specific to you. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about something specific for the Georgia Department of Transportation, GDOT. And so when we go live on July 1, GDOT will be going live in sourcing, in the sourcing module. So that's very important. So the other training courses we've been talking about up to now do not apply to GDOT procurement staff. However, you will be using our brand new Georgia at Work Marketplace sourcing module. And so you will be enrolled into the sourcing event buyer learning program, and you'll get to take the e-learning course and sign up for one of the 2-day instructor-led training classes. And we're so excited for that. Our new sourcing module is so awesome, you guys, and it's going to be a great experience for GDOT. So love that they're going to be a part of that. Okay, let's quickly talk about some of our certifications. And if you're currently certified with us right now, give us a big heart reaction. I want to see lots of hearts. Okay, I see some applause. And then if you're not currently certified, give me a shocked expression. You're not certified yet. Give me a shocked one. Oh no. All right. We're going to take care of you. So as Cherie mentioned, we will be rolling out our updated certification programs after we go live. So just hang tight. We're going to get everybody trained on this new system, and then we're going to be rolling out the brand new updated certification programs in our new systems. And one of the things y'all are going to love, you guys, you get to self-enroll. You will no longer have to send an email request to us in the training mailbox. You see a learning program you want to do, you just self-enroll in it, y'all. And so this is what we're anticipating those updated training classes are going to be. So a lot of this looks familiar. Introduction to State Purchasing, you take that today. Fundamentals of State Purchasing 2-day class, you take that today. We're adding in our brand new NIGP code class. I love that class. I hope you guys have already got to check it out. For our state agencies, we'll be swapping out our old PeopleSoft PO class with our new Georgia at Work PO class, PO for Buyers class. Basics of writing specs, you guys are familiar with that. And then we'll be swapping out our old PeopleSoft sourcing training with the brand new Georgia at Work sourcing training. Let's jump ahead to the GCPM. The primary thing I want to point out here is just the change to update and replace our old PeopleSoft supplier contracts class with the brand new one. So we can go ahead and go forward one more, Mahershala. That's the GPM. I'm going to let you look at it for 1 second. Okay, great. Now we're going to go to the GCPCA. And so for all of our P-card administrators, we love you guys. Thank you for representing your organization and being a part of our State of Georgia Purchasing Card program. I think it's the best in the nation. And we're going to have an updated certification path for you as well. And so for our state agencies on the far left, we'll be swapping out the old PeopleSoft P-card administrator systems course, the old purchasing card training course with the brand new one for Georgia at Work. Okay. All right. Let's skip ahead to slide 35. In case you didn't know, you can earn continuing education units, CEUs, anytime you attend one of our SPD webinars. And that includes today's Procurement Huddle. So I know you already know, you're an insider, you've got all the information, but just in case you needed a reminder, you can claim 1 CEU for attending today. So don't forget to use the direct link in step 2, and we'll make sure we share that in the reminder. We've cutover coming up June 11th. Holly walked us through that earlier today. We've got our next procurement huddle March 25th. We want you to be there for that. So one last thing, let's skip ahead to slide 37. And if Diana Tiernan has been able to join us, I can't wait for her to showcase for you some new information that's available in our Georgia at Work resource library. So Diana, are you able to come off mute and share some information with us?
I am Mary. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. I know we're at time, so I'm going to go a little fast, but I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen share because I think it's a little bit easier to talk about the resource library while I'm navigating through it. So allow me to grab that, please. And all right. So please let me know if you can't see my screen, but I'm going to assume you can because it says that I'm sharing. So real fast, guys, welcome to the Georgia at Work Resource Library. I hope that you've seen this resource before. I'm going to put the link in the chat in just a moment, but I want to emphasize this is not behind a firewall. This is for you. This is for your teams and your colleagues. This is for absolutely everyone. It is it's not behind that firewall, so everyone can access it as they need it and share the materials that are on this page with your colleagues. So get your scrolling finger ready. It's a long web page. We start the resource library with the Start Here guide. So if you're like, wow, this is a lot, where do I start? Right there at the Start Here guide. It will just give you some ideas of what's on this page and how you can share it with your colleagues. As we scroll down, we're at our first section, Georgia at Work videos. I'm going to click into here, sneak peeks and training videos, because I know training is a hot topic right now. And here we have some sneak peeks about different topics in Georgia at Work. And also a little bit further down, we have our training videos. We have the video on how to find the job aids in the system, which will be really important once you get going in training. And also we have the link to the Team Georgia Learning webinar that explains the LMS where all the training is going to be hosted at. Going back, next up we have the Training Support Center. We have the procurement role-based learning programs I believe that y'all just went through. We have the training schedules as they're available now, information on training enrollment in the training overview, and also some FAQs. So again, please come here. I know we're really eager to get into this learning details, seeing what we can do. We need to block off our calendars, see how long the training is. So that's all right there. And so let's keep, I almost got ahead of myself. Here's resources for all employees and resources for all managers, because we know that managers often are that first line of defense when someone has a question. I know I personally go to my manager first when I have a question about work. So we want to have our managers set up for success. And also there's their training information, and same for employees. As we keep going, we're going to keep going, and we're going to land on procurement professionals. So this is our procurement section. So we have 5 toolkits all built up, full of resources that are for you. Before I dive into any of these toolkits, I want to say one thing, and that these are not training. These add to your training experience, but they are not training. So hopefully you'll be getting into them before training starts. And it's like a primer. So when we get into your courses, those dots can connect, like, oh, that's what this was talking about. Or seeing another way to say something that you heard in training. And also these are shareable. So as you're continuing to meet with your teams and wanting to talk about the changes from going to Georgia at Work, you have it at hand, you can share it, you can discuss it, and it's all right here for you. I'm going to open up one toolkit and just give a quick snapshot of what's inside. In this one, for instance, we have change impacts, the crosswalk, report fields, and FAQs. They're not most all of these have the change impacts and FAQs at a minimum, and some toolkits have more than others. One more thing I'm going to call out: when you click on an item in the Georgia at Work toolkit that's a PDF, always need to click twice when I'm presenting. It'll get pinged to download, so you can hit save, and then you'll get to open it, and you'll see here. The item will open. You can save it to your desktop, to attach it and send it to someone. But what I wanted to call out from this view is this date stamp down here on the bottom right in this example. And these are static documents, they're PDFs, but we do know that this is not a static project. Things are changing. So if we ever have any updates to the change impact materials or anything on the Training Support Center, we update this date sticker. So if you are opening it we have to share it or download it and save it and share it. If you're downloading it and you're like, is this the latest version? If you're not sure, just go back to the resource library, open it again and see if the version you have at hand matches the latest version online. And if it doesn't, disregard the older one and keep the new one. But I don't want to take up too much time. I know we're at it, but this is the toolkit, the resource library and the toolkits. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions, and thank you for the time.
Yay, Diana, you are amazing. And Diana knows what she's signing up for, y'all, when she agrees to be a part of our meetings and we put her towards the end, and she can tap dance like nobody's business. So let's give a round of applause for all of our speakers. Thank you, Diana, Cherie, Holly. Y'all are amazing. I hope this information was helpful to you guys. We're going to follow up with the recording and a copy of the presentation. There were some great questions in the chat we didn't get to. We'll work on those as well, but just appreciate you joining us. Have a wonderful afternoon. Can't wait to see you next month in our next huddle. Thanks, everybody. Bye, y'all.